Hey, it's Peter Schmitz, author of the upcoming book, One Inspires Many, and I'm here at the Dare to Try training camp this weekend with my friend Jack O'Neill. And Jack's from Colorado right now, right?
Yep, Colorado Springs.
But he was from Rockford, and that's how he got involved. But he was at this camp last year, and it's actually his second camp, and his whole family just got a really cool award for you.
Yeah.
But Jack told his story tonight in front of 100 people or so, and I was totally taken back. It's very similar to some of my story, but Jack's got a great story to share about inspiring, and I'm sure you're going to be inspired. So Jack, tell us a little bit about your story, because it's an awesome story.
So when I was born with scoliosis, a two-bend scoliosis. My hip is messed up. One of my legs was shorter than the other.
Okay.
My knee didn't really bend, and my ankle didn't flex or anything, and I had a clubbed foot, so my foot was kind of stuck.
So this leg was normal.
Yes.
And the other one was pretty messed up.
Yeah, and my left leg was not growing as rapidly as my right one.
Okay. And so that was when you were born. And so tell me what happened after that. You said earlier you went through lots of surgeries trying to correct it. Tell me that story about your lengthening thing.
So when I was 6, I had to go through a process where they surgically broke my bones, and we used this contraption that we called a fixator, and it pulled my two bones, or what was now two bones. It pulled it apart so a new bone would grow in to length, because my right leg was a good 3 inches longer than my...
3 inches? Oh, man.
I wouldn't, maybe 2.5,
Whatever,
something like that. And
only going to get worse as you grow.
yes, exactly. And so we got it down to be, after the whole process, and it was all done after about 8 or so months, maybe 6, we got it down to about half an inch, which was awesome, and celebration.
Yeah, you're almost normal at that. I mean, you can walk just fine, right, with a half inch. I mean, my legs aren't the same, but that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and so we were all
Now you were how old then?
After the fixator, I was
7 or so.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're 7
6 or
years
7.
old. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I mean, when it was over, we were like, okay, what's next? I mean, because we thought oh, we're invincible, and this is just going to get better and better as life goes on, and so
And then what happened? Because
the
rest of the story.
Yeah, and then we forgot that my legs grew at different rates, and so I was a growing boy, so I grew a lot, and so within another year, it was back to how we had started before the fixator.
Wow.
And it was oh shoot, so this is how it's going to be. And so when I was about 9, we were talking about with a doctor that we can't just say, oh well, it's going to be shorter, it doesn't work that way. I mean, I was having troubles sitting at a movie theater or going to Disney World and riding the rides because my knee wouldn't bend, and so I had to have a whole row to myself so I could turn my leg off to the side. And so we talked with the doctor, and he said, okay, well, we could do multiple different surgeries that would take around 18 months, and to help fix, well, 1, do the worst surgery, the fixator, all over again, and 2, do surgeries on your knee and ankle, or we could put a plate in your right leg, and then when your left leg got to the same, put a plate in that leg.
So basically they were going to stop your right leg from growing?
Yep.
Wow, at 9 years old?
Yes.
That doesn't sound like a good idea. No. I mean,
and so...
Wow. I mean, I'm sure it's an option, but
it was an
not
option,
one you want to do.
But and so after all that, I was like, oh my gosh, this cannot happen, and that wasn't even guaranteed to work. So I actually kind of came up with the idea of amputation, and my mom kind of looked at me funny, and she was like, Are you sure you
You
really
came
wanted?
up. You came up with the idea.
It was a little bit of me and my mom. We did a
Wow.
little bit of research. Like she said, "What about amputation?" And I was like, at first I had no idea what that even meant. And so she said it to me, and she told to me like what it was and all that. And so I was like, okay, this actually sounds like a pretty good idea. I think I could do it. I think I could deal with that. And
At 9 years old, you said this. Or 8. You were 8 probably at that point.
yeah, I was 8.
Wow.
And so yeah, I mean, we talked about it, and it was, and we were like, okay, we're gonna do it because there's no point in even trying to fix a leg that's not even gonna do anything because we had tried multiple braces, nothing worked.
And did you know anything about artificial legs at that point, at 8 years old? I was going to say,
I had no
when
idea.
I lost my arm at 16, I knew nothing. I have never seen one.
I hadn't either.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
so keep going. It's just...
And so, I mean, yeah, I mean, the amputation pursued when I was 9, exactly a month before my 10th birthday. And so...
Now, where is it off? Just because people...
Right
can't
through
see.
your knee. Right through my knee.
Right through your knee. So
My
you've got,
left knee.
Oh, yeah, obviously, but you... So you've got a lot of stump to work with.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that's good. That is good.
Yeah. So that was a big upside because we were thinking, oh, let's do it through the knee and try and do surgery on your knee. But then I knew my knee wasn't even going to work at
No,
that
these
point.
knees are actually pretty darn good.
Yeah, they
I
are.
mean, they really are.
And I'm
so-
actually trying to get a new one right now.
There's lots of stuff.
And
Anyway, so you're
so-
9 years old and you got a artificial leg.
Yeah, and I'm kind of like actually stunned like a week before. I'm like, okay, this is actually going to happen. Like, we're going head first into this. And I mean, I wake up from the surgery and I'm like, okay, it's over. This is awesome. The hardest part is over. Little did I know I had to recover from this, which was a lot harder than I had thought.
Yeah, they don't tell you about that part.
No.
No, they don't.
And so, when they actually stitched me up, I had a blister in my stitches. And so not only was I already tender right there from it being like just like relatively new, like, I don't know, it was just really tender. And so, but also we had to take the stitches out with a blister. And so that was like my first reaction. I was like, oh gosh, this is horrible already. We made a terrible mistake.
Oh, wow.
And so, but then actually from that point, things got pretty good. And then I got my first prosthetic on my birthday.
A month later?
Yes.
Wow, that's pretty
Yeah,
good. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I know. We did it pretty early.
Yeah.
And so we thought it was awesome, and I mean it was a little rough. I mean, it wasn't great. But about a few days after, we realized, okay, my leg can't handle this.
What do you
can't
mean
go
by
through.
that? Your leg can't handle this.
I-
Can't handle what?
Like I couldn't mentally or physically handle it. Like it was causing me so much pain, like even
the
to just put
prosthetic
it on.
arm?
The
Or
socket.
the socket. Okay.
Yeah, the
So
socket.
the leg was causing
Yes.
a lot of pain.
And so the socket that was connected to the prosthetic was causing me a ton of pain, and I was like, okay, I can't do this. And so at one point we were thinking, okay, I'm going to live the rest of my life on crutches, which actually at that point wasn't a bad thought because I looked up to a guy who does it all on crutches, and he's awesome. And so we were set on that, and yeah.
So what transpired to get a leg that worked, that was comfortable? I mean, because I know what the
We
pain you're
switched
talking
prosthetists.
about. Okay.
And now it's actually Melissa's husband,
Okay.
and
Brian?
he's the best. He's awesome, and he made me this awesome socket. It was at that point like I wasn't as tender at the bottom, so I could still bear to handle it, but like I couldn't walk a ton of distance.
Okay.
And so he gave me an awesome knee, and it was all great. And he was actually the first one to give me my running leg.
Oh, was he? Okay. 'Cause
Yeah,
I remember you
so-
saying you wanted to run.
And so, yeah, so he gave me my blade, and that was probably one of the better days of my life. Like the
So
first
what was
day.
it about running that was so important to you? Tell me, because you told me earlier.
I was a 10-year-old boy that couldn't run. I mean, that's like for 9 years of my life, the first 9 years
Yeah.
of my life, I could not like do a full out sprint. I had to like awkwardly hobble, like,
Because your legs were different sizes and it
and
hurt.
my knees
Yeah.
and all that. And so, like, the first day that I actually got to run, I'd never wanted to stop running, which is pretty ironic
That's pretty
because now I really don't like running.
And now you're doing triathlons. Well, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
So you've been 10 years and you couldn't run, and now
Yeah.
you got
It was
this
a
leg
big
and you can.
breakthrough moment.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So you were telling me, we were talking earlier about what it's like to be a kid in school
Mhm.
at 10 years old with
I
a leg.
went-
So tell me a little bit about
I
that.
mean, I went to a small private school, and everybody in my class had been in the same class since first grade.
Oh,
So
wow.
we
So
all
you-
knew each other like the back of our hands.
Yeah.
And so it was like the first day so I had taken 1 or 2 weeks recovery post surgery, and the first day back was awesome. Like, all my friends were so supportive, because like before the surgery I was worried, like, was I going to be accepted into society and whatnot, and like, are my friends gonna think of me differently? And so that was a big part, but like, they all saw me as the same Jack, which was really awesome.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. So now you're a 10-year-old kid and you can run, and then what? Now you're 12, and so what have you done? Now you guys started in triathlons. How did that
Yeah.
happen? Because you right, if I remember right, you were a swimmer
Yep.
before you lost your leg.
Yeah, I've been a swimmer since I was 6, and so Dare to Try had just started. It was like a new thing. They were still a small organization, and they had come to where I had lived,
Okay.
to the nearest YMCA, and I was like, I wanted to go, but it was weird because
Now this was before you lost your leg or after?
before.
Okay.
I mean after, sorry.
After, okay.
Yeah. And so, like, I did have my running leg, yes, I did have my
Okay.
running leg, and, I mean, I was, like, in shock because, like, I had no idea that triathlon was even a sport. I had no idea
Yeah. you
what
didn't-
triathlon even meant. I
Cool.
mean, it was not a thing, like, when I was a kid. And so, like, I went to the camp, I learned all about triathlon. I was like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. I get to swim, which is like my favorite sport.
Mhm.
I get to bike, which is awesome. I mean, like, when you're a kid, biking is like the coolest thing
Yeah,
ever.
it's
And then I get to run a little bit. And so,
Now was that the camp here, or was it?
no,
was that a different camp?
they don't do it anymore.
Okay.
It was like a little, like, introduction to triathlon.
Okay.
And so, and I mean, they had me get in the water, and I swam, and I was a pretty good swimmer at that point. And so, Melissa told me that I had a lot of potential in the sport. And so I was hooked because I was like, okay, she knows what she's doing. She's a 3-time world champion. So she's got to see something. And so I took her word, and I started doing triathlons.
What you told me earlier, what did she say to you?
She said that I could be a champion.
So Melissa, who was a 3-time world champion,
Yeah.
says to you, you can be a champion.
Yeah, I mean, that's like, whoa, like, this is like real, or are you like just saying that like to just make me get into the sport? But like, she actually meant it, and like I could be awesome at this.
And what did that do for Jack and your? I mean, your mom said something about this earlier.
Well, I had only played one sport my whole life, and so to play 2 sports was awesome. But it was like it was a new era of myself. Like, it was awesome because like triathlon, there's something about the sport where it just brings out a better side of you, and I mean, it was a pretty great
So you
moment.
got pretty hooked on
Oh, yeah.
triathlons, and you've been doing them ever since.
Yep.
How many have you done so far? Because you've only been doing them for 3 years, 2 years.
Yeah, 3 years. I started off doing hand cycles and racing chairs because actually at that point I did not have a running leg.
Okay.
And so, and I mean, I've probably done more than 15.
Oh wow.
So yeah,
Good for you.
Yeah.
Well, we are running in the same group today, so
Yeah.
so you're damn good. You're a darn good runner. So that's good. So it's an awesome story. So what are you going to do next?
inspire the world hopefully, and take on the next obstacle that comes my way.
Doesn't seem that anything is going to stop you.
No, I hope not. I mean, there's like
Where do you think that comes from? That desire, that determination? Because
I
you
think
haven't got a lot of it. As a
one,
young man.
I think it's just in my personality to never give up, but then also to have been through so many surgeries and like a lot of like with surgeries comes like a lot of emotional breakthroughs,
Okay.
and so like it was like a big part of like my determination is like it comes from I think my past and like what I've
Well, right, you don't have to have any more surgeries.
no.
You might need a new knee, but you don't
Yeah.
need another surgery, right?
No.
It's a repair job.
Mhm.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
So, what would you tell somebody in a similar situation? You know, that's losing a limb because of an accident or whatever. What would you just words of wisdom would you give them as a young man?
You need to be tough. Like being an amputee is a tough thing. It's like, I mean, it's not the easiest job in the world to be an amputee, but also you have to stick with things and make the best of things and try new things. The big thing is always try new things. Don't be scared to jump headfirst into whatever might come your way, a new socket or a new whatever sport or anything.
Yeah, there's a lot of support for us athletes with disabilities, and the whole point of doing this video and this story is to get people that aren't doing something to do something.
Yeah.
Because there's an awful lot of people with disabilities that don't do anything, and there's no reason other than determination.
Yes.
What's inside of you and me to get out there and do it.
Yeah.
Jack, thanks very much, buddy.
Thank
It's
you.
great to meet you this weekend,
Nice to
and I
meet you, too.
appreciate you sharing your story.
No problem.
People will definitely be inspired. Well, this is Jack, and I don't know about you, but I'm pretty inspired. It's pretty amazing to see a young man with such maturity, such insight, such wisdom, be able to articulate his story and share his heart and what he's gone through. It's truly inspiring. So thanks very much.
Thank you.
All right. I think let me just make sure that all turned out. I think it just. Yes.